Texas weather discussion video for Wednesday, the 12th of September. I'm Donovan Neal. Obviously, we have a few scattered showers about for areas along and south of the I-20 area, but the main highlight, the main story here is the tropics. I mean, we could talk all day about this, about what's going on in the Atlantic. So here's the upper air look across the nation, across the continental United States. You can see we still have troughing to the northwest of us. The main tropical easterlies remain really to the east of us, and yeah, we're pretty much in a general pattern, a general benign weather pattern here. Take a look across the watch warning map. We have red flag warnings from North California to around Nebraska and parts of South Dakota due to very high fire danger over there. On the convective this is the convective outlook for today, and this is the convective outlook for tomorrow. Notice how on the eastern seaboard near the Carolina coast there is a standard slight risk of severe storms, and that's mainly to address the potential for a few small isolated tornadoes within the theater bands of Hurricane Florence. Again, you'll have to worry about the impact of small isolated tornadoes with any landfalling tropical system. And again, that risk of severe weather for the Carolina coast continues tomorrow. This is the average rainfall for the next 7 days. Heavier totals remain in the Carolina coast, where they'll experience the greatest impacts of Florence, and of course the main impact of Florence will most likely be heavy rain once this thing weakens to a minimal hurricane slash tropical storm. You can see that most areas will receive around 1 to 3 inches of rain from this thing, mostly centered around the southern North Carolina coast. And of course, these numbers will continue to increase as confidence increases of where this thing will landfall. And down here in North Texas, we have another system out in the Gulf. That will produce a good amount of rain, around anywhere from 1 to 5 or even 6 inches of rain for parts of southern Texas and the Texas coast. But down here in North Texas, around anywhere from nothing to around an inch of rain can be expected over the next week. And again, that's any scattered showers that we may find over the next week and the weekend. All right, so let's focus on the tropics. We have, of course, Florence, Isaac, and Helene, the big trio right there. But let's focus on Invest 95L in the Gulf. That's continuing out in the Gulf. That has a 95% chance. Actually, that not 95. This NHC has a high chance, a 70% chance of developing within the next 5 days. But the main intensity guidance off the European ensemble, the main intensity guidance wants to, not intensity, the main track wants to take it out take it out to Corpus Christi, and then continue its trajectory to the northwest. Eventually, most models can continue it to its northwestern trajectory, eventually ending up in Mexico, which is something that doesn't happen quite often, but that's where it could go. Again, this is more than 5 days out. A lot of things can change, and the intensity guidance brings us out into a tropical storm within the next 48 hours. And again, if this becomes a tropical storm, its name will be Joyce. So areas along the Texas coast will have to keep pay very special attention to that. Let's go out to the eastern tropics. We have Hurricane Helene, maximum sustained winds 90 miles an hour, Category 1. This will basically move northwest at 13, continuing out to sea, not impacting any land areas. And now we have Tropical Storm Isaac. More than likely, this just remains a tropical storm. Impacts the Lesser Antilles, goes into the Caribbean. But after the weekend, it remains to be seen whether or not this turns to the north or goes into the Gulf. And let's look at the guidance from this thing. And the models, again, the models are all over the place. Some models wants to recurve it out to sea. And some models have this impacting the Dominican Republic and the Cuba and those adjacent land areas, and also the Florida Peninsula as well with time. But the European ensemble is also very confused of where this thing will impact. Some models have this impacting. Has some models have this again turning out to the north, and most models have this going into the Caribbean. And after that, it remains to be seen whether or not this goes into the Gulf of Mexico or just returns into Florida. But again, we'll continue to keep an eye on this thing. For most of its life cycle, will most likely remain a tropical storm for most of its life cycle, even though a few want to bring it up to Category 1 hurricane strength. A few outliers do. But again, we'll just have to watch and worry about this with time. But the main theme, our main story, is Hurricane Florence. And of course, that's looking very healthy this morning. Maximum sustained winds 130 miles an hour. And I do want you to pay attention because the NHC has shifted this forecast cone to the south by a significant grade. They shifted this south. It's still a Category 4 hurricane with maximum sustained winds at 130 miles an hour. This is expected to be still expected to be a Category 3 by Thursday evening or Friday morning, weakening to a Category 2 by Saturday, early Saturday morning. And again, the NHC does not push back the arrival time, the landfall time in this thing. It's not the NHC says it's not expected to landfall until very early Saturday morning. And of course, that's a big difference from all of the other forecast codes. And of course, and another big difference is it brings it into South Carolina and even parts of Georgia as a tropical depression. But of course, it'll be a tropical depression, but the main impact will be um, north and north and east of the circulation center. Let's go to the earliest reasonable arrival time of the tropical storm force winds, and you can see that North Carolina, South Carolina will most likely see tropical storm force winds as early as tomorrow morning. And let's look at the storm surge watches and warnings. Storm surge watches and warnings extend all the way from North Charleston near the South Carolina coast through Virginia Beach, and tropical and storm surge watches and warnings basically cover that area. And this is the expected rainfall guidance from WPC. The direct result of Hurricane Florence. You can see that areas along the North North Carolina coast could experience around a feet a foot to even 3 feet of rain for those areas. And again, that will be a very dangerous and life-threatening catastrophic flooding event if this were to verify. So let's go on to modeling. This is the 06Z run to the GFS followed this afternoon at 1 o'clock. You can see that big trough in the northwest. Down here, you can see Florence still out in the Atlantic, nearing the Carolina states. And again, for North Texas, for our situation in North Texas, we'll continue to see a few scattered showers and thunderstorms in the afternoon with highs in the low 80s. And this is Thursday. Thursday, it's still very close to North Carolina at this point, and the pressure is down at 935 millibars. Notice how in these recent runs, the GFS wants to bring the pressure up rather than down. So that means it's trending weaker in some of these model runs. And this is by Friday, and it's pretty much on land at this point. And of course, the main impacts at this point will most likely be very gusty winds, and also flooding from this thing. The main impacts will be north and east of the circulation center. And this is Saturday. Really doesn't move much. Of course, that would just dump rain along the Carolinas and Virginias if that were to verify. And this is Sunday. And of course, it brings it into northern South Carolina, but again, still dumps rain on the Carolinas for the next couple of days. And this is Monday, really doesn't move much, and that's very problematic because that's will of course cause very catastrophic flooding at this situation. And again, our weather for North Texas will remain mostly cloudy with a few scattered showers and thunderstorms about during the afternoon and evening hours on Thursday through Sunday, with highs mostly in the mid to upper 80s. And by Monday, we will finally trend dry with highs in the low 90s. And by Tuesday, it continues to the north as a remnant low, still produces lots of heavy rainfall. And a week from today, Wednesday the 19th, you can see we still have that trough axis to the northwest, and down here will continue to stay at least fairly dry with highs mostly in the low 90s. Let's go out 10 days. This is Friday the 21st. You can see broad ridging for the central United States, and down here we still stay dry. But you can see for the numbers for the next 15 days coming off the GFS ensemble, yeah, highs mostly stay in the mid to upper 90s through at least the 20th of September, and then we continue, and then we see a little bit of a cool down as we get into late September. And usually we don't see cool downs until late September and through early October. That's it for the Texas weather discussion video for today. I'll have more notes in the blog. Next video here is expected to be posted at around 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. If you can, catch your local TV stations on the air this evening at 4, 5, 6, and 10. Thanks for watching. Have a great day, and Godspeed.